I want to emphasize the subtext. People's stories fail because of subtext. They fail because of character development. Their characters are not real. Their characters are not three-dimensional, and they don't have free will. The writers are telling them what to do. But just going back to subtext, that subtext is that hidden meaning, even behind your words and actions. Okay. You asked me, Trev, how you doing? Okay. I'm not going to go into detail, not going to go into detail, not going to go into detail. Mark called me a little bit earlier, and then and we talked for a little bit. If I were to ask him right now how he's doing, he would probably say fine. Just like we all would. I'm all right. Just like we all would. But he's not all right. I mean, just because of stuff that he's dealing with. That would be subtext that he gave to me. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I asked you, people, we do it every single day. We know good and well we're not fine, we're not okay, but when someone asks us, hey, bro, what's going on? How you doing, man? I'm good, I'm good. That's a lie. That's a subtext because I know something's going on in the inside of me and I'm not doing good. So I'm using subtext to try to get you away from something that I do not want to say. Now, why would someone not want to say it? Maybe because they don't want to say it to you. Maybe it's you personally. Ha ha! How's that for storytelling? Oh, I'll tell him if that person asks. I'll tell her if she asks. You know what I mean? But I'm not telling you because I don't like you. See, I'm not saying I don't like you. I'm saying, oh, I'm good, which means the conversation is over and we kind of move our way. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. I had this one little short example where a husband comes home and his wife said, I baked you a chocolate cake. And he's like, I hate chocolate cake. Guys, subtext, she know he hates chocolate cake.
Wow.
But his girlfriend made him a cheesecake, which is his favorite. So she was sending a message that was not in her words, but in her actions by baking a chocolate cake and giving that to her husband. Guys, subtext, especially if you're writing TV shows, the only reason literally a lot of TV shows can even continue is because of subtext. Those little cliffhangers. When you and I are screaming at the telephone screen, just tell them, just tell them. You know who the killer is. Then the show's over. So you hide behind subtext. Right? So just remember that on the surface, subtext is the underlying meaning, you know, behind a word or an action, you know, not expressing things directly. It's the hidden things, it's the secret things. And that is so important in your storytelling. But guess what? You don't even really have to focus so much on that at this point. Just tell your story. Okay. If any of you guys had an opportunity to look at the workbook and you look at the way the outline, the way I outline with the cards, and again, you don't have to do that. It makes no difference to me. I'm getting the results I want. You have to do what you need to do to get the results you want, right? If you don't want to outline, the key things to pick up on are being able to identify key elements in great storytelling that you want to ensure that are in your story. You guys got that? Awesome. So
Yes, Captain.
On the surface, we have a protagonist, which is the person we're following through our story. And that person is going to go plot by plot by plot, regardless of whether you outline or not. Go plot by plot by plot until they get to the resolution. Okay? You cannot tell your characters what to do. You can if you want to. You have at it. Remember, anything I tell you, you can do the exact opposite. The only thing that I would encourage you is make sure you're getting the results that you want. If you don't want to follow proper formatting for screenwriting, once we get into that, or writing your book or whatever, do what you want, bro. Do what you want, sis. As long as you're getting the results you want, you keep doing you. I'm going to keep doing me. So you not doing anything that I say or encourage or whatever, it doesn't really make a difference to me personally. Although, here's how it makes a difference. I get a lot of phone calls for help on there. You know what I mean? I love talking on the phone if I have something to talk about. If there's something we are talking about, then that's a different story. If I'm helping you with something, you be dying to get off the phone with me. Seriously, it's like, okay, Trev, I got it. I got it. I got it. We good, brother. Mark know what I'm talking about. So he's laughing. He's like, okay, because Trev can go off when I have something to talk about. And guess what? I've been like that my whole life. There's people that have known me from my childhood and said, you never spoke when you were a kid, but when you did, people listened. People listen when I talk. You guys are listening. You guys are getting something. You're processing, you're digesting because that's what I do. That's what I do. And people get it. So I know me. I know me. And it's very important for you guys to know you. Okay. To be able to write your stories in the best way possible, in the most unique way possible, which is the way that you're wired and the way that you're designed. So there are certain things within great storytelling that I want to bring out and identify, and then you can do what you want with that information. So again, the easy approach is about layers. The easier approach is about destination, establishing where you want to go. I can already tell you this. How many of you guys would say you want to write a screenplay? You want to write a screenplay? How many of you guys would say you want to write a book? Cool, cool. That really is not the goal. That's part of the goal, because I can promise you everybody that's hearing me wants something to happen with their screenplay. They want something to happen with their book. You want to see it on TV? Do you want to see it on the big screen? Do you want to get representation? Do you want to get get into film festivals and whatever? That's the goal. That means that's going to impact your screenplay or impact your book. So that's just not the goal, because you can write a book and leave it on the shelf. You can write a screenplay and leave it on the shelf. But is that what you really want? No, that's not the goal. You want that project to be made. Right? So that's the goal that you have to think about, because it's going to influence the way that you write. If you're writing a horror film, you certainly are not going to submit it to the Lifetime channel or Hallmark channel, right? So it's not just about completing a project, it's about completing a project for a specific purpose. So identify what that purpose is, and that will also help you to stay on track with your storytelling. Ha ha!
So, Trevor, can you talk a little bit more about what you mean by three-dimensional characters as opposed to two-dimensional characters?
Well, if you look at yourself, everything about us is real. Okay. That is literally the bottom line that I'm trying to make, and just trying to keep it simple. But we can hang out here, but everything about you is real. The things that you have experienced are real. The way you make decisions are real, and they're based on everything about you. Everything. And then when we get into our storytelling, we don't have characters that are completely real, where you're bringing in all the elements that are contained in people such as yourself and people like me, which is you look at the physical aspect, the mental, the social, the spiritual aspect. You see what I mean? Ah, you know what I mean? Most of the time, and I'm just going to go off just real quick, but most of the time when you write people's story, they follow the rules of this world, right? And then we're just assuming, that I believe in God, and absolutely 100%. He's the one that told me to teach these free classes and show people that he loves them. That's the reason why I do what I do. So that's my motivation. God said, go show people, don't just lip service. Too many people lip service. Too many people lip service. God said, go show people that I love them. So that's a part of me, another element of me that makes me who I am. So if you take the totality of who I am, beyond the way that I look, my shape, my size, and all these different things, and you look at all the experiences that I've had in my life, it's what makes me a three-dimensional character or a three-dimensional person. But I would prefer right now, through our sessions, you look at me as a character. You know what I mean? The reason why I share my flaws and I share my hardships and I share my difficulties is because I can come across one way, but the reality is could be completely different. You see? And so when we have our characters, for the most part, people develop their characters and they go off of a character development sheet, which is awesome. They're in my book, but I say that's just the beginning. Your physical appearance, when I popped out, I popped out. I had no choice in the matter. You know what I mean? I came out, I looked the way I looked, I acted the way I acted and did that. And then everything else was pretty much my experiences, the things that I've taught, the environments that I've been in, my education, all these things layered on top of me to create this person who you see right now. You see what I mean? And that's a process that a lot of people don't go through with their character development because they create these characters and literally going through the story world. I'm going to pull up. I need to get more savvy at Zoom, but do I really want to get more savvy? No, I want to do live classes. But yeah, help me out. Go to Legacy Street on TikTok and the TLS Chronicles on TikTok and Facebook. As soon as I can go live, I'm going to be teaching classes all the time, and just saying, here I am sitting in a parking lot. Look at this person walk across the street. I'm not talking about identifying people. I'm not talking about, singling people out. I don't do that. Okay. I go out on the street and I teach homeless people right there in the Safeway parking lot, guys, in the library parking lot when it's closed. We'll sit at the tables. Here's how you use a camera. And then when I can book a job, we'll go book a job and that person can come shoot with me. That's how I'm going to change the world, right? And so this is a part of who I am, right? So these are all the elements that came in to create this person. So anyway, let me pull the slide up before I start getting crazy. So literally, this is how I outline my stories. And unless it's like I'm writing something that's like 5 minutes, 7 minutes, then I don't bother outlining. I just write. But if I'm writing like a 10-minute, 13-minute, all the way up to a feature film, this outline here is for a novel, it's for a feature film, or for an hour TV show. Okay. And it's a great outline for that. But listen, let's take our non-three-dimensional character, going from beginning to end. Most of you guys know I establish my end first. I already know what my character is and blah, blah, blah. I got the idea for the story. I developed that into a premise. We'll go through the steps in a minute, but here's the end. Here's the destination. And let's say I'll just use a regular example. I use boy meets girl, and he ends up getting the girl. Awesome. Cool. So this is where we are now, figuring out where do I go from here. Lamont, I am going to go back into the character development and the three-dimensional aspect. I'm just going to kind of plot through this so you guys can see how we're working and how a non-three-dimensional character might go through this scenario, right? We can literally come up with a movie right now, you guys. That's how I roll. Seriously, why make things more complicated than they really are? So I want to explain this. If some of you guys already looked at it, you guys saw it. I use the 3-act structure. Most everybody uses this 3-act structure, even if they call it the 4-act structure, because if you look right here, there's Act 1, Act 2A, Act 2B, Act 3. Now, I'll say this is a 3-act structure, but some people call it a 4-act structure, and they just go Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4. They're the same thing. It's semantics. Everybody got that? It's the same thing. If somebody said, oh, I wrote with a 4-act structure. Oh, I wrote with a 3-act structure. Guess what? Who cares? Your audience doesn't. They just want to know if your story is good or if it sucks. Mm-hmm. And they're going to find that out real quick. So you have Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. All right. Act 1, some of you guys might have looked at the book, and I'm not going to go into detail because you have an opportunity to go into the detail right here in this workbook. And then eventually, when I send you my book, I don't know when I'm sending them out because I don't want to overwhelm you with information right now. And so that's important to me. So we have Act 1, that is known as our setup. Okay. And as I mentioned in the last times, because I am seeing new faces that we have, but we have our 3 acts, and that's typically what I use. The world is used to 3 acts. You're used to 3 acts. I'm used to 3 acts. As a matter of fact, I had a moment where I'm like, oh, I'm going to add something new to my little 3-act example because we have morning, day, and night, or morning, afternoon, and night, or whatever. We have birth, life, we live and we die. We have all kinds of different examples in that. And then today I had to message my son and say, I need you to, keep some stuff clean up in here because he uses my computer area. And it gave me another 3-act example. You have take out, use it, and do what? Put it away. That's 3 acts. All right. 3 acts. The world is used to 3 acts. So we have a 3-act structure that we're looking at. The first act in storytelling is your setup. Why make it more complicated than what it is? You're introducing your characters. We don't know who these people are at this point. You're introducing your characters. You're introducing the feel and the mood of your story. You're introducing your locations and the settings. And you're going to introduce obviously I said your characters, but your protagonist stuff. Your antagonist can come in early as this, obviously, and I recommend that they do come in early, but you're introducing the conflict before we even get into the conflict phase. You see what I mean? You're introducing what could possibly be, getting to know people. Just like you and I just met, you looking at me as a character, and I sure as heck look at every single one of you guys as characters. So if I ever need something in the future, I'll be like, oh man, Avascar, man, he got his room all nice and it's all lit up. Look at me. I got a white wall. He got purple and blue and orangish red in the background and got the mic thing. You know what I mean? He got it going on. Rock on. And one thing that we don't do when we introduce ourselves, we don't dump a whole lot of stuff on the people that we meet.
Okay.
So when your characters, typically, when your characters are being introduced, we are coming to know your characters. Now, here's what's really important as your story progresses, okay, and conflict starts to heat up. That's when your audience and your reader is really going to start to get to know your character. You're not going to say just because it's act 1 and I need to set up and introduce my character that you're going to do this whole character dump on people and information dump on people. No, we're going to get to know people just like you and I would get to know each other. Everybody tells me, Trevor, you shouldn't tell people that you're scared of cameras and phones. I will tell you, I can't say wasted, but I would be so much further along in everything that I'm attempting to do right now and what I'm trying to accomplish if I didn't have this issue. This is my biggest issue ever. I've tried to do this 2004, 12 years ago. I started doing videos and started doing stuff, getting in front of camera, and I'm like, nope. And the longer I stay off of camera, the more I will not want to get back in front of the camera. So what's my solution? My solution is to stay in front of the flipping camera. Does it get easier? No, it has not gotten easier for me, but that is my solution to be able to reach the audience that I'm wanting to reach. Think about me as a character, my desire, my dramatic need to help you and to help other people with their storytelling and their filmmaking with life supersedes that fear that I have of camera and telephones. You see what I mean? I get fired up when I see you. I get fired up when I see the light bulb turn on. That's why I like to see people. That's why I don't usually release recordings, because guess what? I'm no longer, this is storytelling, guys. Hear what I'm saying. I'm no longer talking to a general audience. I'm speaking to your heart. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? If you guys start asking questions, there is no, oh, I got to make sure I get this because I'm my recording and I want to make sure other people can hear it. Other people aren't here. Why am I going to divert something if I have an opportunity to pour something into you specifically? Why am I going to generalize it just so I can do it again next week and do it again next week and say the same thing? None of my classes are the same. Why? Because none of you typically are the same coming in. Well, except for like Mark and Helen and, I got people. Avascar came back. He's fam. You know what I mean? And here's my goal is Yes, yes, sir. And my goal is to come out there where you are, or you guys to come out and us to have that relationship where it's not just, oh, that's a person that just teaches. Nope. I'm a part of your life, whether you like it or not. Well, that's if you come back. I'm not going to go chasing you because I don't chase people. I don't chase people. But I
Never
will
chase.
be in your life as long as you desire for me to be a part of your life. That's the way it works. I still have people that I work with that I started off when from back in, the early 2000s, whether it's just helping with a little bit with music or helping a little bit with this, because I don't go anywhere. This is it. You know what I mean? And so here, as we kind of go through this, I want you guys to just get an idea. We have our end, we have our beginning, act one, we're setting up our characters. Now, I could tell you some wild and crazy stuff about me that typically would not be told to someone you just meet. And I like to do it anyway. And my wife's sitting right here. So she's going to be like, Trevor, I cannot believe you just said that. But it's me. I don't care. I literally don't care. When I clip my toenails, I have to put them in my hand and smell them before I throw them away. Sorry. I just met some of these guys.
I knew that before.
Yeah, see? Avaskar knew that.
Christy
Oh,
is
yeah.
rolling her eyes right now, buddy.
She's doing more than rolling her eyes. She's just like, what? Who did I marry? Oh, what the heck? You know what I mean? But we all have those weird things about us, and certainly wouldn't dump that on somebody their first time ever meeting them. You know what I mean? Clip, clip, clip. I literally, my wife said, no, they don't. I literally have thrown them away without smelling them, and I've dug them out.
Okay,
My wife's
sure,
just going
enough,
out, walking
enough.
out the room saying, you're so gross. But it's a true story. So yeah, your characters have to have weird quirks about them because you all
Why
have
is
them,
it?
not
Why
that you
is it?
want.
Why does our character do that?
Why does your character do it?
Why does
why does
your
my
character do it? Why does your
Oh,
character do it?
oh, I have no idea. I never asked why. It ain't no big deal to me. You know what I mean? It's something that you guys would never know unless I told you. You know what I mean? But think about this. When it comes to your stories, there are things that your characters do, regardless of whether you reveal them or not, that there's things that your character do or should do or have done or whatever that they're trying to keep at bay, but still it's a part of their life. Therefore, there's going to be quirks about them. There's going to be little oddities. There's going to be reasons why, well, why don't you do this? Or why don't you do that? Or why don't you say this? And maybe it gets revealed, maybe it doesn't, but that's part of creating a three-dimensional character. They have to have these oddities regardless of whether they're revealed or not. Last session, I brought up how many of you guys have secrets that you guys will take to the grave. You know what I mean? These are secrets still that will influence the things that we do and the things that we say. Listen to me, listen to me. And you can spot things within people just in your relationship. Hi, sweetie pie. Oh, my daughter came by. Hey, rock on. And you can spot these things in relationship. So think about this, okay? Because I'm aware of everything. I just take notice of it. And guess what? Whatever happens, especially if it's not real, you as a storyteller can twist that to make it mean whatever you want it to mean. Okay? Now, here's a reality. Because of what I do for years and years and what I continue to do for years and years, I work with a lot of people that are either in and out of jail or on drugs, and abusive relationships, all this other kind of stuff. If you're standing around a group of people, and I'm giving you an example of something that I physically see, but if you're standing around a group of people and say a guy raises, and it's a group of people, mix of guys and girls, and a guy, say, raises his hand pretty quickly, and you see a female withdraw like that. Come on, you guys. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? You see what I mean?
Being abused.
She either is or that's something that she's experienced, you see? And that's the reality of the world that we live in when you see these things. Now, the reality is we don't know for sure, unless you know that person, we don't know for sure, but that's something that you could pick up on and be like, I wonder why that is. And you may never know. I have one of the most amazing friends one of the most amazing friends, the sweetest lady, one of the sweetest ladies on the planet. This lady is so sweet. She'll never, ever look you in the eye. Never look you in the eye when she's talking to you. You don't think that I could, I'm not saying this has nothing to do with her. All right. But I'm saying if just by me telling you that, if you have a story where something like that fits and you're like, man, that would be kind of interesting if I had this character. So as close as we are, and she will talk and she will just look down and look around and she won't look anybody in the eye when she talks. I think that's a very, very interesting quality. Amazing woman, very interesting quality. And you can incorporate that and take something like that into your storytelling, and you can make it mean whatever it is that you want it to mean for your story and for your character. You see? So there's going to be, and this is going back to the three-dimensional Lamont, but there's going to be times you're going to create this character. Yes, yes. And this character that you create is going to go from the start of your story world through the end of your story world, right? We all on the same page? You have protagonist or a protagonist or protagonist plural. They're going to go from the end, card 56 to, and we're going to start at the beginning. These characters are going to plot their way, literally, hear the word I'm saying. They're going to plot their way through this storyline, okay? Now, going back to character development, you get to know this person, or I'll give you some things you could do to get to know your characters. But the idea is, you understand that this person's going from point A to point Z. You're not going to know everything about this character. What you do is you create them, you give them those characteristics that every other character development little thing says, cool, take your time, do that, fill those out, where they worked, all that kind of stuff. It's in my book. I'll get it to you, or you can go online and say character development sheet, character development form, and it's going to tell you the same thing that everybody else tells you. And I don't knock that because it's important, but to me, that's only the beginning. Now you have created a character. You as a writer do not get to tell that character what to do. Just like when God said, boom, this is the person I love. You made in my image and my likeness. I love you. You're awesome. He still can't make me do anything because he gave me free will. So I can choose to embrace him, or I can choose to not embrace him. I can choose to do whatever it is I want. Now, this God that I believe loves me will certainly try to do what he can to influence me. That's where you come in as a writer. You can influence your character. Oh, my character's scared of snakes. Awesome. I don't want him to go right, so I'm going to put a snake to the right. I can do that. Because that's not me violating your free will. You guys hear what I'm saying? I'm influencing you as a writer. Some of you guys know the term of having a good wingman, or wingwoman. I don't know what the women call your wingman. Wingman, I'm going to pick up that girl. Hey, I'm going to go over there and say this. And then what does that wingman say? You're not serious, are you? Bro, that's stupid. That's what you get to do as a writer. That's stupid. What just came out of your mouth is dumb. It is not going to work. I'm going to try it anyway. Well, that's what the character gets to do if they want to. But you can influence as a writer by saying, maybe you might want to consider this. Maybe you might want to consider this. But it's not you. You're recording what this character does. You're not writing and telling this character what to do. And I will throw this out there. I'll throw this out there as well. Characters don't get to tell you what they're going to do. You can if you want to. You can if you want to. But let's go back to human nature. Human nature says, I'm always, for the most part, going to follow the path of least resistance. For the most part, I am going to take the easier route over the harder route. Well, you as the writer, oh yeah, well, we need to toughen up our character and we need to, let him be broken down and this and that, whatever. So the character tells me, oh yeah, when I leave the house, I want you to have me get mugged and get beat up to the point of, maybe having to go to a hospital and all that kind of stuff. That would be good. Toughen me up. develop my character, have me in the situation, and I'll be like, all right, cool, bet. And as soon as that character leaves, I'll go and massacre their whole family. Kill them all, kill them all. That's what the writer gets to do. Now, character, how are you going to deal with that? Yes, and it's an extreme example, but do you understand what I'm saying? Your character does not get to pick and choose. They can respond. They can initiate their own actions based on what you do to them, based on what you put in front of them, based on what you take away from them. But that character is alive and well, and they are their own person with free will. Oh, look at that kid in there. He's drowning in the ocean. Jump in and save him. Okay, well, your character can't swim, and he died too. Didn't take time to get to know your character, didn't have swim lessons. Ha ha! You guys aren't even here. You see what I mean? But then, if the character sees that person that's drowning, okay, and then obviously knowing that they can't swim, they do whatever they need to do. But my point is, you do not get to control them like that. You can't do that. You can if you want to. Remember, you can do the exact opposite of anything I encourage you to do or not do. Doesn't matter to me. If you're getting the results you want, keep doing you, boo. Keep doing your thing. Because who am I to say you're wrong because you're getting the results you want? Now, if you're wondering why people won't read your book, won't take your script, okay? Mark don't have to wonder, and I'm glad that he's here in his session, because when we work on projects together, he started with a phenomenal story, and he brought me on board to say, hey, let's work on this together, and we did some work together. When that script got sent out, boom, you had actors that you see on TV, that you see at the movies calling his phone. And I'm not talking about, let me just throw this out there in general. Why do I yell so much? It's my character, man. I've been trying for years and years and years. Trevor, just calm down. Calm down. I can't. It is what it is. Either you can stomach me or you can't. But here's the thing. When you have a great story, people are going to respond to that. When you have a great story, all right, people will respond. All right. If you go a certain amount of time or whatever, and you don't hear a response back from people, you would typically follow up with a letter, but it's about great storytelling. All right. And one of the aspects of great storytelling is not trying to control your characters, not trying to make things easy on your characters, guys. It doesn't matter if it's a comedy. When that character hits that dark spot, they have to hit that dark spot. It doesn't matter what genre. When it's time for them to lose everything, because in this, I would just want to say this, there's nothing formulaic about this. 3-act structure, you can put whatever you want in the 3 acts. So there goes your formula. Oh, it's too formulaic. Oh, please. How can a beginning, middle, and end be formulaic? You see what I mean? When you can literally put everything you want in there. And I'm looking for, man, I used to love having this dish that my wife serves out of. It's a little 3-tray dish. See, I'm using visuals with my hand because I don't have little hearts and little hands up. Some people are visual learners, so you just have to visualize. But she has a little tray that she would bring out on Taco Tuesday, and it would have lettuce and tomatoes and maybe onions in the little tray. But there's 3 things in there, right? 3 little trays all in one unit. That's what your 3 acts are. You can put whatever you want in those 3 acts. You understand what I'm saying? So Taco Tuesday is gone. So now it's time for a game on Sunday, and you might have some chips and have some mixed nuts and have some other thing in there. It's still that one container. It's a form, and that's what this 3-act structure is. It's a form of great storytelling, a beginning, a middle, and end, a setup of your story, the conflict phase, which is the largest portion of your story, and then the resolution, the end, okay? You can put whatever you want into there. Doesn't matter the genre. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's just a form of great storytelling. This is where your structure comes in. So when you look at this, I don't want you to think, oh my gosh, I got to have this happen at this exact moment. No, this is an opportunity for you to identify on a you know, God's eye view, bird's eye view. This is your only opportunity to play God. So milk it for what it's worth. So go play God in your story and say, okay, this is what a flood. How is your character going to respond? Here's the thing. You can get to know your character in the beginning. You created them. You said they look like this, they act like that. Cool, 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 cool. Okay. But you're not really going to get to know that character until conflict arises, just like I wouldn't get to know really who you are until there's conflict and tension. What are you really made of? What really pushed you beyond your limit and what came out as a result of that? Guys, this is good stuff. I don't even know if you're hearing it. I'm hearing it. Are you hearing it? This is good. That conflict comes out, and I'm just giving you all kinds of stuff, but that conflict comes out and you see, oh man, that's something I didn't even know about you. Now you're discovering the characters based on what you did to them. Hey man, have me beat up. Okay, going off to work. Go. And then they come back, the door's wide open. They pushing in the door slowly. And then they just see blood trails. How's that, dude? What? What is he gonna do? Come on, you guys. Gonna take him to a whole nother level. You're going to see a side of him that you didn't know anything about. You want to get to know your characters and create these three-dimensional characters? Take them out to lunch. Going back to, okay, Act 1, what is that phase? Anybody? Besides Mark? Besides Avaskar too, but what's Act
Introducing the
1?
characters.
Okay, yes, we call that our setup phase. Setup, okay? That's where we introduce the characters. Let's not make it more complicated than it is. You're introducing your story, the feel, the mood, you know, by the things that happen within your story. You get to do all this stuff, but your character should be free to do whatever they need or want to do or say or initiate based on what you allow to happen to them. That's where you have control, okay? So that's setup, introducing. Don't dump too much. Let us get to know these people, okay? Now, we move into Act 2. All right, I'm just giving you an overview. Layers, remember? Now, Act 2, we got our middle. Notice this is the biggest section in our storytelling. And guess what? No surprise, this is where most stories fail. Simply, there is not enough conflict. Oh, that should be easy to fix. More conflict, more conflict, more conflict. Okay, yes, pretty much. But yes, that's what happens. This area, and yes, we want to be intentional about the conflict that happens. And we're not just talking about physical conflict where someone is physically coming against somebody. You also want to incorporate internal, or maybe it might be solely internal, but a good combination between the two, that's some beautiful stuff right there. But conflict is really where your antagonist is going to start ramping up their game, okay? And if you notice, I'm just going to move my little cursor, but if we're starting off in Act 2, which is our conflict phase, we're going to go through this, and just like the stock market, it's going to be like this, okay? Up and down, 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 and notice what my hand is doing. Even though it's going up and down, rise and fall, what is it happening? What's happening overall? What's happening overall? Somebody.
It's moving forward.
Moving forward, more importantly, yes, moving forward, and it's moving up. Moving forward, progressing forward towards our resolution. Thank you for that, Avaskar, but it's also consistently being elevated. Okay, so let's look at it really, really easy. You have plenty of time to start getting into the complexities of it. In Act 2, it's conflict, and you want to have conflict. So you're going to start with some light conflict, and you're going to amp it up, and you're going to tear that character down, and they're going to start to claw their way back up, and you're going to tear them down again, and they're going to claw their way back up, and you're going to tear them down again and claw their way up and tear them down to the point where they have nothing left to give. They aren't able to pick themselves up. And that's why you have your support characters. That's why you have other elements involved in your story, because your character can join with that support character. They can get a word from somebody. They can get something, you know, to help them to be reborn. That's the rebirth of the protagonist, you know, but something to cause them to rise up to prepare for that last stand, the last stance against the antagonist. But at this point, that middle section, the largest one, conflict, conflict, conflict. Okay? Does anybody have any questions on that? Conflict.